Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, park guest. It is I, your host, Brooding Gamer, here to show you how you can create a well-decorated, semi-functioning petting zoo for your sandbox parks that looks beautiful, houses some of your smaller assets, and also does not take up much room within your park, allowing you to have more space for your animals. This is not a step-by-step guide, more or less just something to show you an idea on how I've designed my petting zoos. And when I say these are semi-functional, I do not mean that they do not work at all or they barely work. It is something that, well, guests are not exactly going to walk up and be staring into your exhibits like you would hope, even though you're going to be using invisible fences. What instead you'll be doing is, as you can see in this video, I ended up taking one of the corners of this little section that I'm building and put two viewing areas in there that kind of pretty much zoom in or give you a view of every animal within the exhibit. If you say exhibit, I do mean the entire petting zoo itself. You are more than welcome to follow along with this video to make your own or kind of put your own little twist on it. Sometimes this type of exhibit can be a little difficult to make because if you want to have it properly working, you have to have gates so that your vehicles can get in there, replant feeders, or, you know, take care of your animals, as I do not know for sure if the actual invisible fence allows the jeeps to tranquilize animals or heal them or anything throughout that. I'm not 100% sure. It would be nice if these fences allowed viewing from your guest without having to build a big bulky building. That would be great, but unfortunately we just have to use our imaginations and pretend that they can see them without the viewing vents. But without further ado, let us begin. I am now going off script. What we are doing here is we are going to be building a big old square. I do not believe I actually said where we'll be building this, but we are actually in Germany just for this because I wanted to have a little quick step away from the tropical and build here. So I'll just be kind of narrating as I go along here. I do apologize. I have this at ×6 speed to make sure that this video is not too awful long, but this entire build took about 58 minutes or so, which was not bad, and this was me sitting and taking my time. This was actually after the fact that I sat there for a minute, stared around the exhibit, and thought, I need to put a lot of decor and a lot of decorations in here to make this look even better. I spent, unfortunately, a little too much time here trying to do this, and I did not decorate the outsides by much. I put trees all the way around the section of the enclosure. I say enclosure like it's one particular enclosure, but this is a bunch of enclosures within this tiny little section of the park. And as of recording this, I've realized that I did not mute my audio, so all I'm hearing is a lot of loud, high-pitched clicks and snapping, and it's going to drive me nuts for the next 11 minutes. But yep, all I can hear is that. You guys can't, but I can. Hopefully I've got a little bit of music in the background to help tune that out. But this is the part that can be very tricky, and that's trying to get your invisible fence to just kind of line up as close to the path as possible. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I, of course, God knows, can't make it an absolutely perfect exhibit. I have seen many people who can make absolute gorgeous exhibits such as Evolution Square and Caesar Creates. Best in Slot is absolutely amazing. I can't say Gaming Beaver has actually done any sandbox parks. If he did, it's been a long time, and I guess that's just not his bread and butter, and I don't know if... I feel like if he did build one, a lot of people would watch. Maybe that's not what he likes to do. It's not his cup of tea, as he would say. That was horrible. Do not, no, ignore that I ever said that. Anyway, this is the one part I have to say is the most tedious, and that's just trying to make sure you get as many little exhibits as possible. Yes, there are quite a few tiny dinosaurs, one of which, unfortunately, is the Morris Intrepidus, and that is not something you would see in a sandbox, or not sandbox, but in a, you know, petting zoo type of place. Now, yes, at the end of almost said Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion, you did see that little girl in DC petting a Morris Intrepidus that was just hanging out there. I'm pretty sure she was petting it or feeding it. I still think that would be a bad idea, because, you know, that little booger could still take some fingers off. But, you know, on the bright side, you do have yourself a little baby Tyrannosaurus if you decide to do the prehistoric version of the T-Rex with all the feathers. But yeah, this is the part that I just dislike the most, and that's trying to make it look good. You guys know that I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my park builds, so I'm going out of my way to do this. But here is the part we just kind of go around the edge with a few different types of trees. I ended up sticking with the much thicker foliage to get this good looking. because I don't want it necessarily plugged outside of, where you can't see it from outside of the park, or not outside of the park, but outside of that exhibit. You can be walking around your park, but sometimes it just depends. Not like my Jurassic World recreation where it's just kind of off to the side, and I didn't really care for that petting zoo all that well. But the animals that we end up using for this particular build is the Lystrosaurus, the Homolocephale, Oviraptor, which, kind of takes place of, your chickens or something, which pretty much is just a big chicken. Dryosaurus, and I do believe there was one other. Let's see, no, we're not saying that. Homolocephalulu, Labaloo, Lystrosaurus, Oviraptor, and Dryosaurus. I think those are the 4 that I ended up using for this particular build. But, I mean, they're the small, baby-ish types of animals. This is something that, if we were able... God, I can't talk. I'm so sorry, guys. This is why I try to write from a script, but there's only so much script writing I can do as we do this. But it would be great if we were to get juvenile dinosaur models or skins that we could place. Oh, and the Minmi. I knew there was another one, so there's 5. Like, there's got to be another baby in here that I put. I don't remember what it is. If we could have another juvenile dinosaur style, I mean, I don't see what Frontier's big issue is. They keep saying, no, we don't have any plans to bring baby dinosaurs to this series. We're not asking for breeding. All we're asking for is, make smaller models and skins with new sound effects for those particular dinosaurs. Baby Paras get a baby model that, has slight, maybe new different animations or new sound effects, but can still somewhat interact with the older ones. I mean, like, it's not like we're asking for an entire revamp of an entire game where you guys add breeding to the game. It's not that difficult. I'm sorry. I fail to see how it's that difficult. But anyway, this is the part where we start adding our animals to the enclosure. As you guys saw at the beginning of the episode, I went ahead, or not really episode, but at the beginning of the build, I did put down some little finished shots of what you guys could see as your finished project. This is where I thought I was going to put the Morris Intrepidus, but I ended up pulling that because I didn't think a carnivore would be a smart idea. Yes, there is the Oviraptor, but it's also pretty much just a big chicken, so we're going to stick with the big chicken. Then again, aren't all dinosaurs just really big chickens? I don't know. Anyway, we got that done. We just kind of go ahead, and this is the part I like the most. You think it would be the actual animals themselves? No, this is the part I enjoy. This is where we just decorate everything to look as nice as possible. We want guests to, if they're guests walking into this area, which unfortunately on my end, they end up not doing so. There'd be another good idea as a petting zoo sign, guys. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Just putting some decorations around this particular area. These dinosaurs have their stats boosted up to the max, so you try to keep it going as good as possible to try and make these animals as healthy as possible to where you don't really need them to rely on food. You can turn off water, you can turn off the need for food, but seeing them graze and eat and drink is nice. It gives realism to the game as you turn off their ability to even need those things. So realism is thrown out the window in this point. But doing little things here like adding big banners or adding pots, plants, all that. I want to say planters and pots at the same time, so plots came out. But adding signs, little spots here like these little planters with the trees, it just brings the whole area to life. It makes it look a lot nicer and a lot more something, like this isn't just a bunch of half-assed things thrown together. Everything looks very decent. So it just brings the whole area to life. And that is the part that I like the most when building an area or building an exhibit, is doing everything you can to make it look either as natural as possible or just as, well put together as possible. And this is one of those things that's really cool because it can look any way you want it to. It can become your own creation. And I am in no way whatsoever perfect at building parks or exhibits. I have the ideas in my head. They tend to come out not looking like I imagined them because I either lose interest halfway through or I just don't enjoy the way they look by the time it gets down to it. I don't know. I'm very harsh on myself, and I guess that's why I consider myself an artist, because if you're not very critical on your own work, then, I mean, you'll never strive to be better. If you always think you're doing the best, you know, there's no point in trying to go any further. But here's where you just can place as many lights as you want to make this place look decent at dark, because even the tiniest of places with the most adorable of animals can be a little spooky at night. So if you want to avoid all the spoopiness, you simply just place as many lights as possible. I did not change the color of any of my lights, unfortunately, because I just completely forgot that that feature exists. I have not remembered that feature, and that is a feature that I requested. One thing I do request are spotlights. Spotlights would be great. We've got them for underwater, but it would be great to just have some spotlights that you can shine up on buildings or signs or something. But anyway, this is my little park build, or my little petting zoo build. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys would like to follow along with this build, you are more than welcome to follow along with this build. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, a subscription would be greatly appreciated, as we are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. This is the end of the video, so if you guys enjoyed, by all means, please remember to do what I asked. That like and that subscription would be appreciated.